I do believe that education is very important because nowadays for a decent job at like a fast food place, you need at least a high school diploma.
Bad Rebel.
It's often said that life is a game. Like any other game, winning and losing depends on the decisions we make while playing.
In life, we are faced with two choices. You either get an education and do the right thing or drop out of school. In America, 8,300 youth drop out of high school every day.
So it's obvious that many people choose to drop out.
This decision raises many questions.
We spoke to different people in hopes of answering these questions.
The biggest question is why people drop out in the first place.
Honestly, I feel high school isn't for everybody, and I'm not saying that I was in the street with drugs and gangs and stuff. It just wasn't for everybody. I didn't like it. I stopped going, and that's what it was.
Life is complicated, and it's very, very, very complicated for our children today. And I'm sure 50 years ago it was complicated, and this generation has their version of complications. So if you're living in a shelter, or you're living in an abusive home, or your family is living at the poverty level, and last night you didn't eat, and you come to school at 8 o'clock and I say, whip out your math book, we're getting ready to do this algebra equation. And you're just like, right? Like, you're just like, really? Because I'm hungry. Or before I came here, I had to make 3 stops to drop off my siblings. And as schools, at times you don't know how to actually pay attention to that.
I used to get bullied, so I always, I felt, it was like a week that I wanted to just drop out and not go to school and just run away from everything.
Like, that was one of my big problems. Like, I get distracted easily, and then if my head's not in it, my heart's not in it, I don't want to do it. So that's why I stopped going to high school.
Grew up on 105 in Pine Grove. That's right off of Liberty. Elementary school, I had a lot of fun. Met a lot of people that I still hang out with today. Junior high school, same thing. I met a lot of people, but I don't hang out with as much people as I hang out with from elementary school. In junior high school, I remember going to a lot of parties. I remember hanging out with my friends. I remember going to the mall, arcade, movies. My little brother always told me, he's like, yeah, you think you're doing what you're doing now in junior high school, wait till you get to high school. Everything is gonna change. It's gonna be about the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you dress, who you hang out with, who's doing this, who's doing that. I felt like I wasn't really ready for that change yet, but then as it came, I just had to deal with it. I had to roll with the punches. I dropped out of high school. I stopped going. I didn't really care. I wanted to make money. I wanted to make fast cash. I wanted to be cool. I wanted to do everything a teenager was supposed to do, or I thought was supposed to do.
Studies show that students that drop out of high school are not eligible for 90% of U.S. jobs. The next question raised is, does dropping out of high school automatically make you a loser in the game of life?
The streets won't give you a pension, a job will. I got that saying my first time I went to, I believe it was Central Bookings. I mean, I used to hustle back in the day. I used to rob people back in the day for fast cash or whatever. I mean, they didn't really pay off.
And so a lot of people drop out of high school, go into the drug market as a way to support themselves and support their families. And of course, that becomes a fast track into the criminal justice system. And in particular, over the last 40 years or so, we've done what's called move towards mandatory minimums, meaning that judges don't have a discretion. You get caught for drugs, you do time, and then once you're in, you're in.
I believe if I was in school, I wouldn't have got arrested. I believe that if I had stayed in school, I could have avoided that whole situation. But me wanting to be, I don't know, I guess, smart or slick or fast or whatever you want to call it.
And so your life suddenly goes from what are the decisions I'm going to make to help me be successful to how do I avoid this and how do I avoid that and how did I find myself here and how do I get out of this problem.
Kept getting arrested. I was like, yo, when is this gonna stop? I was like, yo, I can't change myself. I can't stop myself from getting arrested unless I actually stop myself from doing wrong.
There's a lot of evidence from the federal government showing a strong correlation between high school dropouts and people who end up in prison. In fact, there's an organization that does what's called spatial mapping. So they take a look at communities from sort of up in the air, if you will, and they draw these maps, and the maps show the communities that are affected by incarceration and crime, and then they overlay the communities that are affected by high school dropout rates. And you notice that the same communities where you have a high dilution of people going to jail and prison are the same communities where the majority of people drop out of high school.
I mean, I dropped out, but I ain't really drop out because, like I said, I was taken out of school, I was incarcerated. But that whole year, I was out hustling, doing my thing because that's what I had to do. I didn't have no job training. I couldn't really get no working papers to work. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't, it wasn't a lot of positive things for me.
Right? So if you live in a community where a lot of young people drop out and a lot of young people end up in prison, then you live in a community that lacks power, because you give your power away when you do that. When you walk away from high school, when you walk away from education, when you walk away from opportunity, what you do is you walk away from power. And I know my whole life, I grew up thinking of how to obtain power, not how to give it away. And here's a way to keep your power, to actually stay in school, to get your degree, and then to use that degree to change things around you.
Whenever somebody's like, oh, yo, let's go do this, or let's go beat him up, or let's go, be like, nah, man, I can't afford to do that. Nah, I mean, I'm not trying to end up back where I was.
83.5% of Americans have a high school diploma. What are some ways dropping out could be avoided?
There are transfer schools which take overage and undercredited students. And the goal of the transfer school is, it's much smaller than a regular high school, than a comprehensive high school. And they also do a lot of work, which we should do across the board, but they do a lot more work on this notion of social, emotional growth for students, but also clear, relevant, when you leave here, now what? When you leave here, now what? Because the kids are over age, right? They're now. So in transfer schools, we can have students that are 20, 21. So when you leave here, we need to be really clear on what you're doing, or else it's just, you have a high school diploma, great, but now what?
A Saturday school program and an after school program. I mean, like most of y'all, I hated waking up on Saturdays, going to school, having to listen to the teacher and doing independent work by myself, but in the long run, it was worth it.
I, for one, go to a Saturday doing programs, and they help me in all the works I have difficulty with. So, yeah, that helps me in my grades and such, and the teachers are also helpful.
I mean, go to your teacher, ask them for help, ask them for after school programs, ask them for night school programs, ask them for study packets. Some of y'all may not like it, but I'd rather somebody else, graduate on time than go through everything I went through.
If I were to drop out, who's going to take care of my mom? Who's going to take care of my dad, my siblings? I'm the oldest. So if I'm dropping out, what kind of example am I setting for my younger siblings?
You at least need a high school diploma to get anywhere. So if you're a dropout, how are you going to be able to provide food, provide shelter, like to provide a good home for yourself, not worried about anybody else right now, focus on yourself, you really can't get anywhere.
You know, when I was a kid, I just wanted to be around the streets. You know what I mean? If I would have took that and spent around people that was doing something positive, I would have already been a politician, a lawyer, a six-figure dude. You know what I mean? I've already been living in a mansion or something. So, don't make things hard on yourself. Work first, play later.
It appears that dropping out will always in the game, but it does make it harder to win. But what does winning look like in today's society?
What winning looks like in life has to be a decision made by each individual. And I think if you adopt how this world defines winning, then that's usually problematic. For instance, if you're on social media, you're bombarded every day by images of what this country defines as winning. And I think it's just such a false illusion.
I do think they can all be successful. I don't believe that success looks the same for all of us, but I think every single child that comes through that door can and will be successful.
You want to get as much education so you can go wherever life and your passion leads you. That's why it's important to get education, not just for the money difference, but for the opportunity to make a difference.
Because at the end of the day, I'll be working soon. I have a job, I have a nice car, I have a nice house, I have a nice fiance, I'll be living life. I could be day room all I want. I have money in my pocket though. So doing the right thing, it's hard at first, but once you get used to it, it'll be easy. It starts to become easy.
And for most people to be successful, high school is like the foundation. That foundation is so important. It's hard to build on top of nothing, and getting a high school diploma means that you're not building on top of nothing. It means that you have a foundation that you can build so much on top of.
Like, I don't want to be like all them other people that stand on the corner, that be standing in front of liquor stores, that be standing in front of bodegas and being like, yeah, if I could change the hands of time, I wish I could be your age again. I would have did things a lot differently, blah, 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 blah. I get tired of hearing that story, man. I get tired of it. So I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna hear that story no more. I'm gonna just live it. I mean, I'm gonna be that successful person that they wish they could be.
We've talked about why you might lose the game if you drop out, even the reasons why someone might drop out. But even with the money, the gangs, the stress, and the streets, how do we keep at it and win the game? What motivates you to stay in school?
My teachers who made me want to teach and do what they did every day. So I didn't want to drop out or anything, so in that aspect they didn't inspire me to stay, but they inspired me to build and to keep moving.
My mother inspired me to stay in school because she graduated from high school and I'm trying to graduate from high school as well.
My mom, she got 5 kids, and you know, I feel like I can provide an extra help for her.
My sister all depend on me because I'm the oldest of my mother's kids. So basically, I don't want to be a dropout.
My dad worked 14, 16-hour days. At one point, my mom had 3 jobs. And when she found out that I wasn't going to school, she said very clearly to me, you can either go to school or you can get out my house. I began to see, you know, hanging out during school time, although it felt fun, the consequences weren't fun. I graduated from a transfer school, then it was called an alternative school.
I'm hustling a little bit while I was in school, and then got out of school and just started doing more and more crime, and went from selling drugs to doing robberies, and went from doing robberies in the street to robbing stores, and then ended up doing six joints up north, and went to college while I was in prison, and just changed the way I thought about the world while I was in college. When I think about my college experience, it wasn't just about getting a degree so I could come home and get a job, because the truth is when I came home, getting a job was pretty hard. But a college education for me was the ability to not get 40 jobs and to realize that that 41st job, I was gonna get it, and that it was okay to have patience, and to realize why I didn't get those 40 jobs, and to recognize that the mission I was on was so much bigger than just me, and so I needed to stay focused.
Then I decided to turn my life around, just maintain like focus. I thought I'd never do it though. Always tell everybody, I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna graduate, man. It's too hard. It's so boring. This, that, and the third. But luckily, I stuck with it, and I got my diploma. I passed my regents, and I got my diploma.
I need you to give me that one more math credit.
I need my teachers to stop kicking me out of class.
I need you to support me.
I need you to help me out.
I need you to support me.
So I can graduate.
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 We start the day. We get the knowledge to go to college. We won't stop there. Go anywhere. We work and smile. Well, that's our style. We love each other. Help one another. There's nothing to it. Just got to do it. This is the way. We start the day. Cause we don't play. Now what you say? Do not play. You are revolutionary teachers and leaders, and you got to make a difference. The world is depending on you.
Life is like a test while your mama feel